Karen Pence teaching at an anti-LGBT school. Follow that. Brazil's new president. He's a Trumper.
What?
Yes. Transgendered teen reality show.
Uh-oh.
No.
I don't want to know.
Man, Ireland doctors are standing up.
Really?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that.
Oh, they had that big abortion thing over there.
The law kicked in January 1st. It's some good stats. I'm going to save it for later.
Okay.
Hey, y'all, thank you for joining CrossPolitic. It's good to be with you. Make sure you share the show now.
I got a question.
Like now? Yeah? Already?
How come Keith McCurd didn't make it into the intro?
Well, we're getting to it. I had it all set up, and now you messed it up.
He's not good enough to make it.
Gabe Branch, the Water Boy, Chuck Knox, Pastor Toby.
Knox, I was wondering the same thing. I mean, I flew all the way out here, and I wasn't in the intro.
Oh, man, your arms must be tired.
I mean, it's just, it is horrible.
As you guys can see, we have an East Coaster in the room.
That's right.
Keith McCurd from Virginia.
Virginia represents.
So Virginia frustrates me a little bit. I say frustrate, okay? Because you guys, University of Virginia took Tony Bennett. Coach Bennett was here at Washington State University, and he turned the program around. He basically Christianized their basketball program while he was here.
Oh, wow.
Me and my father-in-law used to teach a Bible study over there, and Dick Bennett would come. His dad, who was coaching at the time, his son was assistant coach.
Wow.
They were great. They were wonderful.
And where did they go?
University of Virginia.
UVA, baby.
Oh.
I got to tell you, I was at the car rental place. Flew in, grabbed the car, and the guy said, "Hey, where are you coming from?" I said, "Virginia." And he went, "Dang, man, you took Tony Bennett."
These guys are so
right out of his mouth. I said, that is awesome.
It's like we noticed.
I mean, it's like, great. That's what I'm famous for.
That's what Virginia out here. That's what Virginia's famous for.
And Tony Bennett's awesome.
Yeah.
We wanted to thank our corporate sponsors before we kind of get into this. First, Learnly.me.
Hey, Learnly, homeschooler, we have an app for you. Learnly.me. With Learnly, you can capture your family's learning anytime, anywhere, as it happens. And it's all pushed into a digital portfolio that allows you to create classes, grade work, and generate transcripts and reports with a single click.
Which is important for homeschoolers.
Or maybe 2 clicks.
Because I work at New St. Andrews, and we want transcripts to be quality.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
So, and for CrossPolitic listeners, you can use discount code LearnlyCross, to get 50% off the first 3 months on a monthly subscription plan on top of 30 days free. And you can cancel anytime. Yeah. Big thank you to Learnly.me.
At least check it out.
Check it out.
At least help us check it out and tell them that we sent you. Okay.
Big thank you.
And then Tenacor, you guys, we've already brought this up on the show.
Those are nice.
But these patches, the only way you can get a CrossPolitic patch.
You got one in your pocket?
Is through
Look at that.
Our relationship with Tenacor, concealed carry holsters, not just concealed carry, they also do regular holsters also. Okay. Tenacor is an American design, development, and manufacturing company focused on creating concealed products built for every day, right?
Every day.
You conceal carry every day.
Huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Uh-oh.
Yes, I do.
Every day. And if you believe in protecting people, which we're 1 Timothy 5 Christians,
right?
We believe in protecting people.
You don't protect your own family.
You're worse than an unbeliever.
You're worse than an unbeliever.
That's right.
Question.
That's right. Yeah.
Anybody else carrying?
Well, I know you're carrying, so I just was like, hey, chocolate's got me, so good. I'm carrying a pocket knife.
Well, you got your pants on, right?
Not in a gunfight. Not in a gunfight.
I had to fly here, but if I was in Virginia,
Keith gets out. Keith gets out.
He'd be there.
You know, man.
So, but Tenacor designs holsters for Glock, Sig, and Smith & Wesson.
Okay.
But not
for what I carry.
And so
I'm going to buy a Glock just because I want one.
What do you carry?
10% off.
Smith & Wesson, 45.
Yeah, but not the 45. They don't make one for
they don't make
45. Not the 45. And so the discount code you guys can use is CrossPolitic. So actually go to the link, CrossPolitic, for 10% off. And they send you a CrossPolitic patch. And the reason why I bring this up also is because we actually had a listener design this for us.
And they are lovely.
A listener. They're awesome. I just lost my notes here real quick.
I put that on my backpack.
Where'd it go?
And I have a really nice Oakley backpack. Like it's a nice, and I've ruined it. I just put that on there.
You just put the CrossPolitic Studios on.
I did
love the colors. I love the colors in the flag. Actually, it's like
and actually the white is at night is
it glows in the dark.
Glows in the dark. There you go. Gosh, so bad. So Serge, our boy Serge, developed this for us.
Thanks,
and
Serge.
You guys can go to his website, spokendesigns.com. Spoken like speaking. Spokendesigns.com.
Thank you, Serge.
Give him some business. He hooked us up. We love that patch.
Last thing really quick.
Yes.
Christchurch Missions Conference coming up February 8th and 9th. Dr. George Grant will be here.
Yes.
Douglas Wilson.
Yep.
The theme, I think, is like why we win. I don't know. Can't remember what it is.
Post-mill.
Post-mill.
Yeah. The thing
It's like Jesus wins everything.
Because all evangelism is post-mill.
Yeah,
you can't
right?
be
Right.
evangelist without being post-mill.
That's coming up February
8th and 9th.
8th and 9th. Check it out. It's called Gospel Victory. Something like that.
And you guys can visit NSA while they're out here. New St. Andrews College is having Prospective Student Weekend. Prospective. Yeah. Go to nsa.edu.
Check it out.
And then stop by the studio.
Oh, man. If you guys,
town.
If we have club members or listeners that come out here, let us know. We'll do something.
So what did Karen Pence do?
So Karen Pence. All right. So, Vice President Pence's wife.
Mrs. Pence.
Right.
I mean, I feel kind of funny calling her Karen.
She's
like, respect the office.
She's like the wife of the vice president.
Yeah.
So Mrs. Pence.
That's
the second lady.
The second lady.
Second lady.
Yeah, which is a weird term, but second lady. That's actually the official term for her.
Yeah.
She wanted to go back teaching at Christian school, so she actually taught Christian school education for 12 years.
That government shutdown is hurting, huh?
But yeah, she's like, I need to make some money for us because we are going to make
that government shutdown. Like, woo.
I'm pretty sure the vice president is still getting paid, guys.
So
the vice president is getting
don't
paid.
seem like it. She got to go get another job.
But she went to go teach. She went back to teach at Emmanuel Christian School in Northern Virginia. She taught there for 12 years while Pence was a senator or a congressman or whatever.
Mr. Pence to you.
Vice President Pence to me.
Yeah, right.
And which, by the way, we're trying to get him on the show still someday.
You worked that out.
I'm working.
In the world, Gabe.
I'm working. My contact in the White House, he's helping.
Ooh.
He's helping.
You better not say that on
the show.
the show.
You know who you are. He knows I own a 6-pack of beer if this happens.
Oh, boy. Just lost that.
He's a buddy. He's been great. Anyways, long story short, she goes back. She taught there for 12 years.
Yes.
Now she's going back to teach again.
Yeah.
And the media has gone bonkers over this because this school does not accept employees who engage in homosexual, lesbian, sexual
or
activity
condone
and transgender or condone. So on the employment application, so the media found this. They're looking all over the place on the employment application. She says, it says, I understand that the term marriage has only one meaning: the uniting of one man and one woman. Moral misconduct violates the bona fide occupational qualifications for employees, including but is not limited to such behaviors as the following heterosexual activities outside of marriage: premarital sex, cohabitation, extramarital sex, homosexual or lesbian sexual activity, polygamy, transgender. I mean, it covers the whole thing.
Right. You mean it's a Christian employment application is what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's biblical.
Yeah. Well, and here's I mean, we're entering into this. I mean, we've been in it for a while, but this new zone where you do anything Christian and you're a public figure and you're going to get lambasted for it.
Well, just think about this. If somebody went, there's a Muslim congresswoman.
Yeah.
Now.
That's right.
Yeah. And what if she's teaching part-time at a Muslim school?
Yeah.
And in her employee agreement, it says that she's going to abide by Muslim dietary restrictions.
No bacon, no dogs.
Right. I mean, where's the media freak out?
Not even that. They should be freaking out about her already because, like, at her celebration party in January when she got put her hand on the Quran, I think.
Right.
Okay.
Pete Ellison started that, so that's nothing.
It's nothing. They had a party that night, and she had Muslim Brotherhood sympathizers at the party.
Right.
Yeah.
But nobody's freaking out.
Nobody's freaking out.
Right.
Yeah.
A Muslim being a Muslim
is okay.
But a Christian being a Christian, teaching at a Christian school, and the freak out, which tells you, of course, that there's an alien standard at work here.
Of course.
Right. So they're assuming the center and assuming that there are certain things that are acceptable and certain things that are not acceptable, and they are requiring Christians to bow to that standard
in their own circles.
Right. So that's what assuming the center is. Yeah. But of course, Christians have left the center wide open.
Yeah, that's right.
By not claiming the center ourselves.
Right.
And so the secularist comes in and says, by my secular standard, you're a hater.
Right.
Yeah.
And then media freak out Q.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we're not worried about the Muslims.
No, not at all.
Right?
Yeah.
But Christians evacuated the center.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we don't want to enforce our values on other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than say, well, no, Jesus is Lord of all. And actually, because Jesus is Lord of all, there's actually room for people to disagree with us.
Yeah.
Right.
Because he's Lord of all. But you don't have freedom of speech, you don't have freedom of religion without Jesus being Lord of all.
That's right. That's right.
But I don't understand why they're freaking out. They don't want to send their kids there anyway.
Right. They want your kids to go to public school.
No, it's blasphemy.
Right. That's
what this is. This is blasphemy.
But we haven't, we've actually helped this in one way or another through our American history, when in the sense we start forcing people to not discriminate. And so all of a sudden now we've come further down the road where it's like, well, we don't like what you're doing. And you guys are discriminating, so you can't discriminate. And it's like, instead of letting, No, if you don't want to serve black people at your establishment, then don't serve black people at your establishment.
Uh-oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Did you just say that?
Yes, I did. Yeah, absolutely. If you don't want to serve Hispanic people, don't serve Hispanic people.
Unpack this.
Because here's
help
the deal.
people follow this.
When discrimination, when you're forcing somebody not to discriminate, then where's the limit? Now, all of a sudden, Christian people who want to have their standards and where they can discriminate against something that they don't believe in, they can't do that anymore.
Right. And especially when there's an ambiguous or alien standard assumed.
Absolutely.
So on what basis is it right for the government to say that you must not do that?
Right, exactly.
If it's based on man's standard, my feelings right now.
That's right.
That in 20 years and in 40 years and in 60 years, it can be something else,
Yeah.
which is what has happened.
Had we continued on down, like, okay, you know what? We don't have black people at our schools. Well, you know, during that time, some of the most historical black colleges were designed.
Right.
You know, and were made.
Right.
And all of a sudden, you had a competing market.
Yep.
And to the point where people were like, whoa, these guys are smart.
Right.
Yeah.
It destroyed the stereotype of what black people were like.
Right.
Yeah.
Because of the competition. The same thing with the NBA and then the black basketball league and the baseball league too. It's
That's
like,
right.
let them compete. And then all of a sudden you see a natural merger happen.
Well, it's kind of what's
It's-
happened
and so-
actually with like homeschoolers, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, nobody, like homeschoolers were these freaks
Yep.
in the woods.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, some of them start acing SATs,
Yep.
taking over the
start
world.
start acing all this stuff.
And
the
college recruiters
and college
are coming
recruiters are
knocking.
like, we want them.
Yeah.
Well, this is what's hilarious about ACCS, which is the Association of Classical Christian Schools. All those schools,
What does that mean?
because Keith is his school.
eyeballing.
He was chair of a school that is in the ACCS.
Hey, David.
Yeah,
right.
Keith,
It's a special thing.
come on. Keith knows what I'm saying.
Come on.
And so I recruit. New St. Andrews College recruits in the ACCS schools.
Yeah.
And over the last
What
couple
college
years,
you work for?
New St. Andrews College.
Oh, is that a good college?
.edu.
Do they, do
yeah.
they pay for that sponsorship?
No, I got to work on it.
You're dead right, though, Pastor.
But over the past couple years, I've seen so many college recruiters start to pour in
To
these
ACCS schools.
because these kids
yeah.
work hard.
Right.
They get good grades.
Right.
They don't, fly off the deep end morally,
Right.
and they finish all 4 years of college.
Right.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They finish all 4 years of
Turns
college.
out excellence matters.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you actually you submit yourself to the Lord Jesus. You follow his pattern of life.
Yep.
And excellence actually emerges by the grace of God, and people are attracted to that excellence.
Amen.
Just to piggyback on that, this is why we don't need to be crying for our place in the certain positions. Build our own.
Yeah.
Let our hard work and our
Yeah.
excellence present the new center.
Right.
Right? So that we take it over. We
That's
don't have
good.
to fight for space. You don't want us in there?
Right.
We'll build it.
We can point out the hypocrisy. We can point out
Absolutely.
the idiocy.
And there's lots of it.
But yeah, we don't want to play the victim card.
No,
Yeah,
absolutely not.
And have them, come cater to us.
No.
Because then we're just playing right into their game.
Well, this is interesting. Brazil's new president, okay, he got sworn into office in January, so he just got in office.
I want to hear you say his name.
You want me to say it?
Oh, get your popcorn ready.
Get ready.
Get your popcorn ready.
Jair Bolsonaro. or is it Yar? Yar Bolsonaro. I don't know. It's either Jar or Yar. Whatever. Anyways, his inaugural speech, he said, this is his first speech in sworn office. He says, we are going to unite the people, value the family, respect religions, and our Judeo-Christian tradition, combat gender ideology, conserving our values.
What does he mean by combat gender ideology?
Well, I think all the gender dysphoria, confusion, or general dysphoria, the confusion
trans
that's going on,
perversion
the
stuff.
trans, all that stuff. Yep. And then he says, Brazil's going to return to being a free country, free of the chains of ideology. My electoral campaign listened to the call of the streets and forged a commitment to place Brazil first and God above all.
And God above all.
Man,
That's incredible.
Wow.
So now's a good time to be an evangelist out there in
Do
Brazil.
we know what
Yeah.
kind of Christian he is?
I
I'm
don't.
assuming he's a Christian.
I'm assuming, he's Christian.
He's not Mormon?
my guess is he's some sort of Catholic.
Okay.
That'd be my guess.
Yeah, I'm curious.
But he's preaching it.
Roman Catholicism is big in Brazil.
Yep.
But I know there are evangelicals.
Yep.
I also know that there's evangelical Catholics.
Now, why'd you say
Right.
he's pro-Trump?
Because he said Brazil first.
Oh,
There
he's
you
like
go.
taking a play out of
Yep,
Trump's
playbook.
Brazil
Playbook.
first.
Yep, Brazil
Oh,
first.
interesting.
Yeah.
I place myself before the whole nation on this day as the day in which people began to liberate itself from socialism,
Mm-hmm.
from the inversion of values,
Yep.
from big government, and from political correctness.
I
That's
like
incredible.
this guy.
I'm moving to Brazil.
Oh,
Okay, so
I need to know how to say his name.
Yar.
I'm going to look it up. You just keep going.
Okay.
I'm going to look up his name.
All right. This is crazy. Their TLC runs a transgendered reality TV show. TLC. And this has been going on apparently for a while. And they've been following around this dude whose name is Jazz Jennings. And they're talking about one of the shows recently. They're talking about actually throwing I don't know how else to say this without a farewell to penis party.
I need to warn him.
Do you have a beep? Can you beep it out?
So the son, the dude who wants to be a girl, says this is a quirky and fun idea. Seems like a cool thing. I love making my dad uncomfortable with this whole party concept.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I can't. There's nowhere to go with that story.
There's nothing to do with that. It's just disgusting.
Yeah,
it's absolutely depraved.
Yeah,
and the fact that this is being carried on cable television,
exactly,
and again, the great media freakout that Mrs. Pence is going to teach at a Christian school that has Christian values.
Right.
And meanwhile, TLC has
celebrating
a farewell to man parts party.
Yep.
And just trundling right along.
And this is just Romans.
Like, what do you have for tea? You know, like what do you want to order for lunch?
Yeah.
While they're eating their salad.
It's foul.
They were going to make a cake and everything and stuff.
Oh, it's disgusting.
But this is Romans 1 going into the wall.
Given over to it.
Given over to it. When you stop worshiping God as your creator, you go insane.
Yeah. But this is, again, there are so many other things on TV. This is, of course, at the top. But my wife and I, we got cable because I like football.
Yeah, I know,
sports.
Man. Yeah.
And so I just all right.
That's our secret handshake on the show.
That was a really bad one.
It's a very bad one.
But
it started that way.
I hate to say this, but that's like toxic masculinity going on.
Hey, we're gonna have to talk to you about that.
But one of the things on TV is that one of the problems is that while I get all the sports stuff, there's a bunch of other channels that I would never watch in a million years.
Right.
And there's just so much junk on there. They're trying.
Even the commercials on the sport channels.
I've seen Darren Don't talk about this. I think he's right in a lot of ways. Sometimes when you have to make people's heads turn, when you have to get the attention because you got marketers and you're trying to make money, you're not even worried about the art anymore. You're not worried about if you believe in the worldview. You don't care about any of that stuff. You're just trying to get somebody's eyes to land on something long enough to keep their attention.
Right.
And so what is it that's going to get a reaction?
Right.
And that's all they're chasing right now. I don't even think that honestly, I think they're grossed out even by the whole idea, but this makes everybody look.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we've been doing is like, no, we're not gonna, nope, not even gonna give that a moment.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about this. This is why we need to be making television ourselves.
Yep.
Good television, television we want to watch, stuff that we can sit down with our family and say, it's gonna be good. There's not gonna be any farewell parties happening.
But that's the thing. I mean, we've been watching. I mean, the thing is we've been saying farewell to man parts for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
In all of our television watching.
Yeah.
I mean, when men sit there and watch women be exploited on television
that's right.
for money, you are unmanning yourself.
Miss America pageants.
Right. Yeah, that's what we're doing. So this is actually just the unveiling of what we've been doing for decades.
For a long time. That's
Hollywood,
good.
and we've been paying for it. Christians have been paying for it.
Sitcoms like Friends.
We've been doing it. Yeah. You can run around like that and not act like a man.
Yeah.
And
it's okay. Toxic.
It is, yeah, absolutely. When we come back, Keith McCurd, talk about raising some sturdy kids. And what else? We got that Gillette commercial. We'll talk about that.
Yep.
Honestly, guys.
And we got to talk about March for Life.
Okay,
Maybe we'll do that third
I
segment.
haven't seen the Gillette commercial because I've been spending 26 hours a day in prayer. So I'm sorry. More CrossPolitic when we come back. I'm just spending time with the Lord.
Holy. You're so holy.
Don't you see the halo? I've been glowing.
Learning doesn't just happen, from 9 to 3, Monday through Friday, right? So you take a trip as a family to the beach and you find a tidal pool or something, and so you can talk about that. Well, you can snap a picture of the tidal pool, record some comments that the kids have made and then upload it to your timeline. And there you've documented a learning opportunity, but it wasn't necessarily, at home with a textbook, with a book. Learnly lets me keep track of them, individually. My older students can log in and keep track of their own learning, log that information in, so a math test or a history paper or whatever, they can take care of that. So Learnly really helps me to just stay on top of the documentation piece.
Yeah.
Whoa, don't.
So good.
We have guests, Gabe.
Oh, man.
Guests.
Welcome back to CrossPolitic on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, especially to our members, those of you who support us monthly. Your
yes.
gifts, your support is invaluable, and we are in a brand new studio. It's our second week recording here, which we're really grateful. And
we have internet.
And we have internet.
Wow.
Oh, praise the Lord.
And we have Keith McCurdy with us in the studio, which we're really thankful.
Toxic masculinity.
Is this the
y'all
best
go ahead.
man
I'm just
can
watching
get?
the commercial.
Is it? We can't hide from it.
Sexual harassment is taking over.
It's been going on far too long. We can't laugh it off.
Who's the daddy?
What I actually think she's trying to say.
Making the same old excuses.
Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys.
But something finally changed.
Allegations regarding sexual assault and sexual harassment.
But she says
And there will be no going back. Because we believe in the best in men.
Men need to hold other men accountable.
Smile, sweetie. Come on.
To say the right thing. To act the right way.
Bro, not cool. Not cool.
Some already are. In ways big
Yo, men, we're acting like oh, shit.
and small.
I am strong.
But some is not enough.
It's not how we treat each other, okay? Okay.
Because the boys watching today will be the men of tomorrow.
So, I got a question. When they say men,
Yeah.
what do they mean?
Yeah, right?
Well, they define men.
So what do you think? What do you think? This is your first time.
My first natural reaction, I guess I see what they're going for, but
what are they going for?
I think they might. I'm not as offended as I've seen. So I've heard everybody be really offended. I'm a little upset. It's like,
It's because I've only seen it once.
is that what it is? I need to see it more than once. Okay. Well, the whole thing about the cat call and all stuff like that,
Sure.
honestly, when my friend of mine, I see him check out the girl longer than he needs to, I always ask him, like, is that your wife?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I've always done that.
Right.
So I'm kind of like, where y'all been at?
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, y'all don't get, and what standard are you pulling from to talk about a man? I'm so confused.
Yeah. What's that?
Right.
What standard are you pulling to talk about a man and
What's wrong?
what's right and wrong?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What's wrong with it?
Keith, what do you think?
Well, you know, when you watch the ad, it's interesting because part of it, like Knox, what you're saying, almost lines up with chivalry. You see a piece of it, but then they blur it.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, they take a piece of what we know to be good and true and how we raise our boys into men, but then they blur it. They distort it in the commercial and they try to get us to believe it's really something else.
How do they blur it? What do you mean? Point to like the blur.
Well, when you watch that, you know, they're demonstrating an idea that being tough, being strong is going to lead to necessarily bullying, going to lead to catcalling, going to lead to, you know, it's like if you raise your son to open a door for a woman, you know, what you will get is, oh, you're saying we're weak. No, we're saying you're valuable.
Mm-hmm.
We're saying we're cherishing you.
Right. If a man opens a door for a woman, is he being like the man in that business room who says what she really means is is that demeaning to pay for your date's dinner?
Right. And so we've taken something that is part of raising our sons into young men and created a different angle, angle to get us to believe that's bad or that's wrong now.
Here's the thing that I noticed, and maybe it took me several watches to see this actually, but there's a story arc to the ad. There's a story arc. There's a beginning and there's a middle and there's an end.
Yeah.
The beginning is the man looking in the mirror and he's doing some self-evaluation, and the voiceover says something like, you know, we said we wanted to be the best kind of men we could be. Have we really?
Yeah.
And you have this montage of scenes of basically toxic masculinity, sinful masculinity. I don't really like that word because the pagans invented it. But you know, so you got bullying going on.
Yeah.
You've got cat calls. You've got, you know, the
grilling burgers.
Well, you get there,
right.
but you get there. But you know, a fair bit of it is pretty obviously, you know, men leering at women, being obscene.
Right.
sexually and so on.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of mistreatment of women.
Which Gillette and their sponsorships have done.
Hold on.
I'm pointing out the hypocrisy.
But then you have a turning point in the ad, and it says, "But then something changed," and you have the face of a media reporter, and she's reporting on sexual allegations being reported, and then another face pops up, and then there's a whole montage. There's a whole. It's like a checkerboard of media faces, and they're reporting on sexual harassment allegations and sexual abuse allegations and accusations. What is that? What happened?
That's their priest.
Yeah, setting them up as a hero.
Yeah, but what moment in time are they referring to?
Monica Lewinsky?
No.
Oh, okay.
Bill Clinton? Bill Clinton?
Sorry.
That's a good one. That's a good one. They're talking about Me Too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Me Too.
They're talking about the last year or so.
Right.
And all, from Weinstein and, all the rest of them and down to, presumably Kavanaugh. But the whole, last year, this whole year of Me Too.
Yeah.
Then something happened, and you have all the faces pop up, and they are the high priests that have revealed the evil of toxic masculinity or whatever sin. Right. And then the voiceover says, "And now we can never go back."
Because they repented.
Well, that's what's happened. But here's the turning point.
But here's part of the thing is there's no real repentance in this commercial.
That's exactly right. So
there's no real true heart
change. Turning point, and then you have all these so-called positive results of that. And so you've got the dad running down to break up the two kids fighting, and you've got the guy
boys will be boys.
The guy stepping in saying, "Nah, bro, no, don't look that way." And defending women. And then the dad running over and defending the boy that's getting chased. But you have, that's the
change.
That's the change. That's the result of the gospel that just got presented.
Well, okay, I've got a question for you. Wasn't that already happening in Christian families when we raised our boys correctly?
Right.
Weren't we already? Don't we already do that?
Right. But the thing is what they're doing is exactly what you said a minute ago. They want our chivalry. And they want the fruit of the Spirit. They want the fruit of the gospel, and they want it without the gospel.
That's right.
They want it with a different gospel. They want it with a different God.
Right.
Yeah.
And the sad thing about it is that they beat us to making the ad.
Yeah,
right.
That's actually the problem with this is that not that they made it,
right?
Because that's always been their worldview from the beginning.
Right. Then something came.
What was that voice?
Right. Jesus died for your sins.
That's exactly
then something changed.
But they're saying Me Too came.
Yeah,
right.
And now you can repent and become a new man.
Yeah.
There's a verse in the Old Testament I always think about. Sharon always brings it to my remembrance how that people in the world like our morality. It was that they love to come to your gates and hear your singing. Right, but they don't want to obey your God.
Right.
And it's the same thing. They like the standards. They like what it brings. They like the order it brings, but they don't want to actually obey the God that brings those things into existence. And so,
just imagine if in the montage, though, just for example, if during the positive, after the change, so to speak, you had a man walk into a Planned Parenthood and rescue his wife.
Yeah,
then something changed.
Yeah,
man. We need to do that.
What would have happened if during the montage you had a man standing at an altar promising to never leave his wife?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Then something changed.
Right.
Bam.
But so
but that would confuse. I mean, that would confuse morals and values, which is why we do what we do, with issues and agendas, which is what's behind the commercial.
Right.
It's not based on morals. They're trying to claim the space of morals and values. With issues and agendas.
Well, I'm just wondering, I remember, what was it, 10, 15 years ago? No one was in the religion business. Right? Religion bad.
But Gillette got religion.
But all of a sudden, Gillette's in the moral and religious business?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
This is every bit as moralistic as an open-air preacher.
Me Too is in the religious business?
Not that open-air preaching has to be moralistic.
But this is a great time. God has given us a great time and a great stage to be loud about morality.
Yeah. By what standard?
Yeah.
But where did you get these moral values? Where did you get these virtues?
How do we know that's good?
Yeah, exactly.
How do you know that's good? Because we would agree that's good.
Yeah.
Well, but what about, is there ever a place for a dad to say, no, hold on, let them fight it out?
Right. Sure. Right.
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
going to ask you, Keith.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If I want to make a sturdy son, is there a moment in which what would that moment be? When I say, hold on, no, let him finish.
Yeah, absolutely. I would tell you that, younger boys have to engage in a physical way as part of their development. And that doesn't mean we allow bullying and things like that. There is a difference between the, the problem is we go black and white with all this.
Right.
It's either all bullying or it's all good. There's no middle ground. The reality is there's a lot of gray. Yeah. There's a lot of gray when we're raising kids. It's a messy deal.
Wisdom has to take messy situations and say, son, what you did here was really good, but what you did there was not so good.
Right.
And encourage and feed the healthy part.
Good arm lock. Don't kick your brother in the back.
Well, and I ain't gonna lie. Some
you
boys,
can punch him, but not below the belt.
Well, it depends. I mean, some boys need to get knocked out.
Yeah.
Some boys need to get their face
leveled.
leveled.
That's the thing you don't see in the commercial is what led up to the scene they showed you.
Yeah, if he was grabbing other girls behind, I hope my son knocks the boy's face off.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, did something happen and he decided to take the kid down? I mean, again, that's where when we don't have a foundation on transcendent truth, we don't have a way to evaluate anything.
That's right.
And so then it all goes on what we feel in the moment. Yeah. What offends us in the moment? What doesn't offend us?
Well, and of course, Gillette. I mean, obviously, this is ultimately virtue signaling from Gillette.
Right.
They've sponsored NASCAR before, and there's this picture going around the internet where Gillette had 30 women in tight suits with Gillette on their buttocks, and they're taking pictures basically of their women with their backs to the camera on their buttocks,
and
everything. I mean, like they've been doing this for years, using marketing.
Well, and let's be honest, which one is better? Listen, you can be with Gillette, who's been around for a long time and said a lot of this has been okay, or you can be with the Christian church who said this has
and
never
grow a beard.
Been. Yeah,
right.
Be in the Christian church and grow a beard.
But, I mean, this is one of the things. Like they've never had a good standard on this. This is like virtue signaling.
Well, it's not really a standard. That's the thing.
Yeah.
There's an agenda. I think it's connected. We were talking a little bit before the show about the new guidelines that just came out from the American Psychological Association, the APA. There's an article that accompanies it that says traditional masculinity marked by stoicism, competitiveness, dominance, and aggression is on the whole harmful.
Right. And I would stop you right there and say that's not my definition of traditional masculinity.
That's a strong man.
And the problem with the APA and things like this, I mean, if you back up a little bit, 10,000-foot view to psychology, what the field of psychology has done is said there's no transcendent truth. Truth is in the individual.
Right.
And the moment you say truth and all truth is within the individual, you've now lost the compass for life.
Right.
And so what that means is if you think about psychology, in the field of psychology, there's no agreed on underlying theoretical perspective on what is healthy.
Right.
It's all based on dysfunction. You line up 10 people in my job and you say, here are these symptoms. What's wrong with Johnny? They'll give you 2 or 3 diagnoses. But if you say, all right, what is a healthy child supposed to look like? They don't know. They can't answer. Psychology can't answer that. Psychology doesn't answer that. Or you get 100 different answers.
Well, so psychology only kind of answers what's bad about people.
Well,
doesn't give answers for what should be good in people.
Right. Well, the study of psychology, the whole idea of studying the mind, behavior, thoughts and behaviors and emotions, that took a turn with Freud, and Freud made it therapeutic.
Right.
And then all of a sudden with Freud now, psychology is what we can do in a therapeutic process. That doesn't mean all therapy is bad, but there's a difference between therapy and a therapeutic mindset. And that mindset is it's all about fixing a problem. It's not about what really is healthy and we should target it. It's like this article, APA is trying to say, this is what masculinity should be. My question to APA is, well, where's your standard?
Where'd you get that?
Where'd you get it?
Well, my question to you is define biblical or define true masculinity.
Oh, man. I think we've got to look at character development. We've got to look at Deuteronomy 6. Impress these truths into your children's lives. My goodness, we have a plethora of what a strong individual looks like. Some of that is physical strength. Some of that is emotional strength. Some of that is humility. Those characteristics that we see borne out in Christian families that raise their men and their women.
And it seems like
how about this? I'm sorry.
No.
I was going to say, what if we said masculinity is stoic, competitive, dominant, aggressive traits used sacrificially in obedience to the word of God for the good of others.
Yeah.
Right.
For the good of others.
Yeah, obviously they have. Yeah, that's really good.
Well, I mean, because my point is, all by themselves, I grant these characteristics.
Being dominant can be a bad thing.
It can be a bad thing.
Yeah. But it can also be a faithful thing.
Absolutely. Right. Well, and the other thing that's so clear about this, the reason, what's obvious, where is their list for toxic femininity.
No such things. All right, that's enough for you.
Whoa.
That's
right, Keith.
I mean, seriously,
That's right.
where is the APA's guideline on dealing with distortions in who a woman is?
Yeah. When's Gillette going to do?
When is Gillette going to talk about toxic femininity?
Yeah.
When is the Me Too movement going to acknowledge there are powerful women that do victimize men of lower standing?
Who have falsely accused and gotten men lost their jobs.
And professionally, I deal with it. I deal with it in the lives of teenagers and young adults.
You work in the sewer.
Wow.
Yeah, and it goes both ways. Sin does not discriminate.
Toxic
matriarchy.
matriarchy.
You mean women are just as fallen as men?
You know,
right?
Oh,
well, no, that's the thing. Actually, if the race conversation is far ahead of the sexual conversation, and one of the things we figured out in the race conversation is that people who are the minority can't be racist.
Oh, right? Yeah, they can't sin.
That's right. They can't sin in
Black
that way.
people can't sin.
The reason is because they don't have the power to implement their racism.
Right.
So
and
they've redefined.
They're running the same play with the female.
You better believe it's coming with feminine. Yeah,
they have less power.
Less power, so they can't implement their
even though
sin.
there's more of them.
Yeah. But but see, the thing is, this is where Christianity.
There's more of them.
It's the sin. Yeah. Even if it never sees power.
That's right.
Right.
You got the sin.
Well, it's our state of being.
Yeah.
Right.
We are fallen, period.
It's not okay just
the
to have
weak
the sin.
and the powerful all sin.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That you can sin it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And this is, you see this in a lot of the household codes in the New Testament, right? Where you have, husbands and wives, parents and children, masters and slaves.
Right. Yeah.
All these, and there's power disparities. We'd say in the modern, power disparities, influence disparities, all these things.
Yeah.
But that Paul doesn't say, well, since you're the wife and you're weaker, you have no responsibility, or your children, you're weaker, and obviously you're being victimized by your parents.
Yeah.
No, he treats them all as being moral agents.
Yeah.
Who are responsible for their actions and their reactions, whether the other people are treating them justly or not.
Yeah, he teaches regulation within those spheres.
Yeah.
Well,
he doesn't remove them.
Yeah, and in those power disparities, there's also responsibility disparities that are supportive of those. You talk about submission, but the man is called to be Christ-like.
Right.
I mean,
and he's responsible for the state of his home.
Right, exactly.
He's going to answer for more.
Yeah, it's not based on a weakness.
Right.
It's just different.
Right.
Yeah. That's really good.
But Peter doesn't mind saying that she is the weaker vessel.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so there is a weakness.
That's right.
But it's a glorious weakness.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Those are one of the things we actually need to be taking advantage of, is glorying in those weaknesses as well, too, right? So, more CrossPolitic when we get back. I don't know what we're going to talk about. Can we talk about raising some sturdy kids now? Have we fleshed out the Gillette stuff?
Raising sturdy kids and walk for life.
Oh, walk for life. All right.
Yes.
Here we go.
That next on CrossPolitic.
How important is it to you to be involved in your child's education? How important is it to you to instill your values in your child? How important is it to you to be a part of something that's a little bit bigger than you? How important is it to you to have your child be a part of something that's just a little bit bigger than them? Everything that I wanted for my children's education, every question I asked, Classical Conversations was the answer.
Don't do it, Gabe. Don't do it. I see you over there. Don't do that.
I'm going to drop some lines right now.
Don't do that. Stop. We have guests.
Welcome back to CrossPolitic on the Fight, Laugh, Feast Network. Thanks for joining us. If you haven't already, share the show. Give us some likes.
Yep.
Comment.
Tag your friends.
Tag Vice President Pence, because we supported him in the show.
Tag your enemies.
Tag Gillette.
Yeah, exactly.
We're really grateful to have Mr. Keith McCurd in the studio with us. Thanks for being with us, Keith.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Keith's worked with families, children, parents, and individuals for over 30 years in the field of mental health. You might have been wondering, why is he talking about this stuff? Well, now you know.
He's a professional.
He's worked with more than 15,000 individuals and families. He received his Master of Arts and Education Specialist degrees from James Madison University. He's currently the president and CEO of Total Life Counseling Incorporated. He's licensed in the state of Virginia as a licensed professional counselor and a licensed marriage and family therapist. Oh, no, he's a therapist, you guys.
Uh-oh.
He's a therapist.
Yeah.
We heard about
Security!
that.
That's why they called me.
Keith provides counseling and consulting services as well as a variety of workshops on improving parenting skills, building strong marriages, and maintaining healthy relationships. He has developed and regularly offers parenting retreats entitled Raising Sturdy Kids. Some of you might remember we had Keith on the show. I don't know when was
year
that?
ago, year and a half ago.
Year ago.
Check out the archives. You can catch them there. This is meant to help parents operate from a correct paradigm with their children and has extended and customized this powerful program for schools and students. So he's on his Northwest tour. He's with us. He's stopping by the CrossPolitic studios. He's also been a consultant and speaker nationally with schools inside and outside the world of classical education. He's on the board, or were you at the board? Used to be at the board?
Just rolled off.
Faith Christian School, Classical Christian School in Roanoke, Virginia.
Peter Bauer, Brother
That's
Peter.
right.
And he's also been featured on Cersei Institute's podcast. On CrossPolitic.
Are we on there?
We're on the website.
You made it to your bio?
Yeah, we made
You
it.
all right, brother. You all right.
Let's do it right, baby.
See, he know what he's doing.
Yeah. A significant part of his
I'm
work.
going home with a mug.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. A significant part of his work has been helping parents understand the needed benefit of allowing their children to struggle to learn to do hard things.
I'm sorry, you must have read that wrong. You said struggle.
Struggle to learn to do hard things. He's an avid outdoorsman, actively involved with Boy Scouts still.
Trail Life USA.
Still?
Just my son is an Eagle Scout under the old order of the Boy Scouts, and so we are
here.
And
we actually just rolled out.
Out. Okay, all right. And he and his wife, Lenny,
yes,
Lenny have been married for 24, coming up on 25 years.
coming up with 25.
They have
Yeah.
2 children. And great, very good. There you go. Now you know Keith. Now you know Keith.
Yeah.
Keith, now you know our audience. Great to have you back.
Thank you. Glad to be.
So struggling to learn to do hard things.
That's where I was ready to go. What you talking about?
Yeah. Well, it's so funny. I'll give you maybe a good intro to this. I was on a plane to Dallas,
Promised Land,
8 months ago, and the guy sitting beside me brings his computer up, and I was just enamored with what he's doing. He was a Major League Baseball scout, and so he's looking at players and stats and stuff. And so we start talking, and he asked me what I did, and I told him, and he went, "Oh my gosh!" He goes, "Oh." He said, everybody we get these days, all of our young players are so stinking fragile. He said it used to be guys would give their eye teeth to play in the major leagues. 4 of them would live in a van by the river eating ramen noodles to play on a team. He said, now we're professional babysitters. He said,
wow.
The players we get today are beyond where players used to be physically and a skill set, a physical skill set for the game, better athletically. He said, but emotionally, he said they're fragile as all get out.
Wow.
No grit.
That's a bad mixture.
Right.
Have a
really
super
big and
athletic,
strong, fragile
capabilities, and to be fragile.
Yeah. And so it's interesting. I mean, he shared that with me, and I'm like, no, that's not true. So I said, well, actually, that's what I deal with. And so we ended up talking the whole time.
So how does that happen?
Well,
how do we get there?
It's interesting. Ultimately, where we get there is we remove struggle out of the lives of our kids. I pick on psychology a lot, not the professionals in the field, because there are a lot of great folks in the field that do great work. But psychology in and of itself, we really turned a corner with Freud, and everybody says, well, we don't pay attention to Freud, but the field paid attention to Freud.
Yeah.
Freud infected the field.
Yeah, and Freud turned the corner and basically took psychology and said, we're going to turn it into a therapeutic monster. And with psychoanalysis, and 2 key things Freud did, I mentioned this earlier, I think, Freud made us think therapeutically, and 2 big things happened. The first was, he said, there's no truth outside of the individual. There's no transcendent truth. It's all within the individual. So every person's emotional experience is correct.
Right.
It has truth in it. And
so how can something be wrong?
Right. Exactly. Well, exactly.
Yeah.
When you do that, everything is subjective. Yeah. If I'm offended, then what you did is offensive.
Postmodernism.
There you go. Yeah. Right. And the second thing Freud did is he told the field, in essence, and it takes a professional to help you figure that out.
Right.
Now, that's the field.
Which is kind of contradictory.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It takes an objective professional to help you figure out your
subjective
truth.
Aren't
I the professional?
Right.
I'm the standard.
I'm
the professional.
And what that's done to our children, because Freud didn't directly affect our parenting, but Freud infected the field. Yeah. And then what happened is all of a sudden the field took over, especially with the behaviorists, and then now with the progressive humanists, their role as the experts on raising kids. It used to be, you get 2 generations back to my grandmother, And if they had a problem with their kids, they went to one of three resources. They went to their parents or grandparents, generational wisdom.
Yep.
Or they went to their pastor, because you know what? The pastor's probably pretty informed about how God says to raise kids.
Right.
Or they went to their kids' teachers.
Yeah.
Or to the belt buckle.
Well, or to discipline.
We skipped the belt buckle.
Yeah. But the idea
I
is
got
now,
that one first.
But now
Yeah, right.
they run into a problem with their kids. Who do they call? They call me.
Yeah.
Because the field of psychology has convinced them that their children are dysfunctional.
Yeah.
Parents think psychologically. You know, one kid, it's funny, we talk about masculinity. One kid smacks another kid, and the parent thinks, oh, no, what's wrong with Johnny? Versus all children are little criminals. They lie, cheat, steal, hit each other. It's part of their development. It's why we have to train them.
Right.
That's right.
But as soon as parents give up that role, instead of now taking the mantle of it's our job to instill Christian character, values, morals in their life, we're now afraid of them doing bad things, and so we keep them happy.
But there's also some other worldview issues.
Try to keep them happy.
And they're sadder than ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, that's an interesting thing.
Sorry.
Think about, I mean, we'll talk about meds. Right now, we have over 8 million children under the age of 18 on psych meds.
Yeah.
We have this will kill you, over 1 million kids under the age of 6 on psychiatric meds. Over 275,000 under the age of 1.
No way.
Now, you think about that. You go back to 1960. How many kids in 1960 did we have on psychiatric meds? 0. The first funded pharmacological studies by the government on psych meds for kids was in the mid-60s. So maybe they were on them before, but they shouldn't have been. I mean, we don't have those numbers. And yet we had the lowest rates of anxiety and depression in our children. And today we have the highest.
It's like the definition of insanity. Like, just keep doing the same thing and hoping you're going to get different results.
Well, actually do more of it.
Or
the cure is the problem.
Right.
Like the medication is driving the problem.
Yeah. Right. Well, and we got to be a little careful of that, because some meds help with some things, but the field and the path we're on with meds, with diagnosis and things like that, it's
well, especially when we've started with this presupposition that parents are not equipped to parent their children.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's the fundamental failure, to take that away when God so specifically says, I've given this task to mom and dad.
Yeah.
And it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's messy.
You bring a little person home and you think,
absolutely.
But at the same time, God says, this is your job.
Yeah.
And when God gives an assignment, he gives us the tools. He gives us the ability. He gives us the grace to obey him to complete that assignment.
Right.
God says this is good for you.
It's good.
So parents losing their position as parents or being afraid to be parents is part of the reason that our kids are turning out soft.
Yeah.
But what are they actually doing in that process? Because they're still implementing something.
Well, the other thing too is this. I mean, we have gone from a society, a culture. You go back 100 years. You know, we've gone from where life was hard but simple, and life right now is very easy but complex. And in that process, one of the things we've stopped doing is we're not giving ownership of life to our kids anymore.
Yeah. If you go back, their dignity.
If you go back 100 years. We began requiring children to be functional members of the family as soon as they demonstrated functional ability.
Lord.
So as soon as John
can grip something,
you're going to play that carrying your organ.
That's exactly. Hey, I'll tell you a story. A buddy of mine's a missionary. This will kill you. And he was living with some tribes in South Africa, and he noticed that a kid was guarding the livestock, and he asked the people in the tribe, what's the deal with the kid guarding the livestock? And they said, yeah, well, wild animals come in, try to kill our livestock, and the livestock's part of the life of the village. And he said, okay, but how old's that kid? He was like 7. And he said, well, why is he guarding livestock? And the response killed him. The response was, because 7-year-old boys are really good at poking stuff with sharp sticks.
Imagine that.
And think of this. And he's not strong enough or big enough to do these other things, but as soon as he is, he'll be doing them. We'll have another 7-year-old doing that. Yeah. So we used to, in families in this country, we used to meet our children where they were functionally and then give them a reason to use it.
David in the field.
Absolutely.
Take care of his dad's flocks. He's
right.
like, I've been killing lions and bears. I mean, what middle school boy doesn't want to kill something? Usually they want to kill the wrong thing, and but if you actually put them out in the field and said anything comes in this field, kill it.
Yeah. And so when we've removed the normal turning over of ownership of functioning in this world, we've removed struggle.
So how do parents
introduce
it?
Yeah.
How do we give them struggle?
Oh man,
how do we make our kids struggle?
Well, I tell parents 4 things. I mean, number one, I say the first thing you got to do, you just don't go in and break bad on your kid.
Right.
Because you don't know why you're
Come
breaking.
on, man.
I mean, you break bad on.
I know. Right?
Now, the first thing you do is you have to figure out what your family identity is. Who are you? Who's God called you to be in a family? And that starts with figuring out, what am I saying yes to and what am I saying no to? What am I allowing in this family? One way to look at that is, the acknowledgement nothing is neutral.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everything has an effect.
Amen.
So start asking the question, the things you say yes and no to, what do I gain? What do I lose? It's like I had a head of school ask me recently. He said, just your opinion. Do you think we ought to allow cell phones and iPads on field trips?
I know what you're going to say.
But I don't. The simple question is, well, what do you gain? What do you lose? We're not having iPads and cell phones on field trips then.
Yeah, right.
Know. And so, as a family, the parents have to start asking, what are we saying yes to? What are we saying no to? I pick on Knox. What are we saying about video games? What are we saying
he
about?
He remembers.
I do.
He remembers. He hadn't forgotten.
I tattooed it, baby. We're having a conversation. but what are we saying yes to? Do we say yes to sleepovers? Well, sleepovers.
No.
20. Yeah, right.
I'm sorry, you were saying something.
As an example, and this is not meant to be scary to parents, but sleepovers 20 years ago may have been all right. But statistically today, the incidence of first introduction to illicit substances or inappropriate sexual contact at sleepovers is through the roof.
Wow.
So why in the world, so the first thing you do is start figuring out, who are we as a family? What's our family identity? Because we're supposed to pass that on to our kids.
You're not making this easy for me. Because what I want the 3 things to do.
Well, that's one. Here's number 2.
But no, you're making it all about me and what I need to start doing, not what my kids need to start doing.
But that's the whole point. God gave the job to you.
Yeah, okay.
The second thing I tell families is this is the ownership piece. Stop doing so much. Do less and require more of your kids. Look at what they're functionally capable of. I was at a school yesterday, and I had a group of, 250, 300 parents. Here's the question I asked them. I said, what in your home that you do for the functioning of your home, what is there that you do that your child, unless they're limited by physical ability, can't do? Raise your hand. Now, I've asked that question for the last 2-3 years all over the nation. I've never had a hand raised. And then I said, well, how many of you are turning all that over to your kids? None of them. And so the question is now one of the reasons is because it's easier. If I'm going to tell my little kid,
it's hard to teach your kids to do that,
man, because they're going to screw it up.
So he's saying it's my fault.
But that's,
I'm not working through that problem. I'm going to tell you right now.
But that's training.
It is.
We're to train them up,
right?
And so we've got if we want them to own it, we've got to own it.
That's right.
And so then the third thing is connect cause and effect. Instead of worrying about trying to monkey with rewards and punishments and figure out what's going to get some outcome of behavior, which is really what parenting has become. Let me read this book, get 10 gimmicks, so I can either stop the behavior I don't like or start a behavior I do like. Well, the sad reality is the only control we have over a kid is before they crawl. It's called location. We can put them there and they can't get away. Our job shouldn't be outcome focused. It's input focused. And one of the issues we have as parents is we never fully give our child the problem. The question I ask parents, I say, think about the behavior that drives you crazy. Well, you'll know whose problem it is by who gets the most upset. You or the kid. And the parents are like, oh, man, I'm the most upset.
Whose problem is it?
And what cause and effect does is it properly places the problem where it belongs. Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because so now what I'm hearing is that the struggle that I'm supposed to be having for my kids, it's really a struggle I'm supposed to be having for myself.
Absolutely. So because you think about Scripture and what it tells us about struggle, whether it's Romans or James, beginning of the book of James, and I will absolutely paraphrase. Consider pure joy when you face trials of many kinds. Develops perseverance, the ability to stick with it when it's not fun.
Yeah.
Perseverance must finish its work so that we're mature. I mean, struggle, I tell parents all the time, that verse, that is the sausage making of parenting. That's the process.
Yeah.
And if we have eliminated that process, how on earth can we get to the target that it develops?
Well,
and then the fourth thing,
he's not done,
is limit technology. Baby, it's got to have a small footprint. It's got to have a small footprint.
Yeah, okay. I don't have a problem with a small footprint. Yeah.
And you've got to ask the question, what do we gain? What do we lose?
Yeah.
We can't argue the fact anymore that not all, but first person stimulus response video games are addictive. Period. Doesn't mean everyone gets addicted, but they are addictive. They're addictive by design.
Yeah.
And so we've got to ask ourselves, is there any other thing that we would give our children if it's that addictive?
Depends on what you're addicting them to.
It does, right. And so are you addicting them to playing the game?
So it depends on what game it is. Game with math, game with science, so there's all different, and so there's joy games too.
Sure. Well, that's where you've got
I want to come out at. That's where
right. And that's where you've got to say, what do we gain? What do we lose? Wow. And that's how you apply it.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So that for us, like I've loved the technology helps as a tool to get my kids somewhere else.
Think about this. If the underlying purpose of the technology is resource, it's healthy. When it begins to blur into entertainment and filler of boredom, it becomes unhealthy.
Yeah, and actually the entertainment side for me has been really good in pointing out sin in my kids.
Sure, if it stays in this range.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I would suggest to you that's a resource. See,
yeah, absolutely.
If it's solely entertainment, filler, boredom, because boredom, you think about this. I hear from employers all the time when I do business consults, the biggest issue they have with millennials is they can't make a decision. And when we eliminate boredom, we eliminate two necessary processes: the one of development of creativity and decision making.
That's good. That's
and so if we fill every moment of our kids' life, typically with tech, they're not developing those skills. There's no template for it.
As you're talking about the need for parents to embrace this struggle.
Yeah.
I think this ultimately begins at the struggle of being willing to embrace family, embrace marriage, embrace bringing children into the world.
That's right.
I mean, this weekend is the March for Life in DC. And we have all these people walking, and it's glorious. It's I think it's one of the biggest events in Washington D.C.
It doesn't get covered
every year. That doesn't get on the news at all.
Right.
But that's what we're ultimately walking for. We're standing up for the embrace of the goodness of that struggle.
That's right.
Absolutely.
The goodness of bringing people into the world.
Right. Absolutely.
Of being married to one woman, one man for your whole life.
Yeah.
Man up.
Hey.
Get yourself a wife.
Preach, press.
Make her a mother.
Hey, now.
And bring a lot of little people into the world.
And baptize them.
That's being pro-life.
Well, and
that's being pro-life.
Underlying all this is why it's so important to have a biblical view of the world, of human nature, of who we are in Christ, because either man is fallen and needs to be saved,
right,
or man is kind of good and just needs to be tweaked with a little medication along the way.
Absolutely.
Right. And so so everything you're talking about is either, if you don't understand the presupposition of our fallen nature in raising children, right, you're going to be just tweaking your child as they grow and as they get older.
Well, you're going to be tweaking, but also you're going to be retreating. We're having less and less kids, maybe one, and just conk them out with drugs,
That's right,
and send them off to the psychologist, because we don't know what to do. Or if you see that in this is blessing, that Jesus died and rose again to make all things new, and the gift of His Spirit gives us the power, the joy, the delight to wrestle with the difficult things in this life.
Right.
We find there's sweetness in it. There's joy in it. There's glory in it.
Amen. And you got to fight, laugh, feast with your family.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And right now,
he's about fighting too.
Yeah.
He's fighting and laughing and feasting too.
Right now, you can bring your offerings on up. We just want to thank you right now, the Church of CrossPolitic. We're just so grateful that you decided to be with us.
Thanks for joining us, Keith. It's great to have you in CrossPolitic.
What's your website, Keith?
Yeah, what's the website?
TotalLifeCounselingInc.com.
Say it one more time for me.
TotalLifeCounselingInc.com.
If you're single, get married. If you're married, have kids. And if you have kids, baptize them. And until next week, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast on the CrossPolitic Fight, Laugh, Feast Network. Until next week, God bless you.